Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
You and I are kind of similar. You may even be more good-hearted than me. I feel like you. Well,
but in our longing hearts, we're all the same.
Mutual respect and
yes.
A boundary might have been crossed
Yes.
that you right.
That's
So
right.
just an example
That's
of
a good example.
it is a great example. I appreciate that for
Yes.
giving me the example to even work with.
Let's be the change we want to see.
I've never seen differences negative. I've always been attracted to and intrigued by it. But we're looking for how are we similar? How are we the same? How can we all just get along?
We are links in a chain. Unimportant.
Hey, here we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Working It Out Across Generations, the mother and son duo team that talks about all things conflict. We have a conflict resolution background, years and years and years between the two of us. And we come to this show to not only talk about conflicts, but also to talk about how we handle them because they come up between us, but to give some tips, techniques, and just some hope that you can work these conflicts out if you just try some new things. So I am one of your hosts, Dr. Lynne.
Yeah, I'm Justin.
And we have a topic today that even we find good because I won't say struggle with it, but it comes up quite a bit between us. So go for it, Justin.
Yeah, today we're talking about our old school ways causing generational conflicts in the workplace. And I think they are. So let's just get that out the way. Absolutely. But I think part of where this conversation came from for us was we were really just thinking about some of the dynamic shifts that have come in just the natural evolution of work and meshing of different generations in those spaces. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, as you've seen in our bio of this episode, one of those ways that we talked about was, workplace attire, right? Or what promotions look like, right? They used to look like getting that office that had a big space with a door and all these other things, right? And that's become more accessible now, right? As far as kind of just, entry level, that being your space that is designated to you and to your work. And so there are just a couple of things around the dynamics that made us think about that. But as I'm talking right now, I think I'm also, interested in just how the infrastructure of these offices and of these spaces have shifted as well, right? I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, as we'll get into the generational aspect of it, right? But I don't think there were many like hubs within the office that were used for specifically rehabilitation or just getting your some rest in, getting some breaks in.
Rest. What's that?
All the snack bars and stuff you
Snack
see, and cafeteria that's got upgraded food and all of these different things.
You go down to the man that got the stand. Well, we're in New York.
Yeah.
Snack bar.
Yeah. So as I'm talking right now, it's making me think of like just how the designs of these companies or these places even think, right, and go into, you know, okay, well, how do we build, you know, just a place that people want to work at, a place that people want to be in. And I think that some of the things that have gone into those conversations definitely have shifted over time. So with that shift, there has to come conflict. There has to come people who, even of my generation, possibly feel like, you know, well, maybe we are doing a little too much or pushing the needle a little too much. And
y'all seem to be enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are. We absolutely are. Who doesn't love a snack bar that's got, you know, a whole bunch of stuff and more, right? And then, you know, upgraded food, cafeterias and all that stuff. Absolutely. We absolutely love the new age, you know, workplace. However,
and just being side by side, because that's the kind of thing we didn't. I mean, yes, the people had cubicles, but even now the boss is in that whole space scene and wants to be more equal. So they are in the midst of a lot of things. And it's different. It is definitely different. And I think we were talking about it coming up in so many different ways. But how it came up for us most recently is around this thing called meetings. And I'll just speak from my space. And you can speak real. So for me, meetings have always been, well, no, let me take that back. Meetings have been a time and place where the team comes together, always, yes. And some meetings have been very good and some meetings have not been. But it was never I never thought when I came to a meeting that it would be short. They were always long meetings, and that you knew that they were going to be long, and you had a typed up agenda, and you go through the agenda and take a while. In fact, some meetings you have to carry over the agenda to the next meeting after having been there for an hour, maybe even an hour and a half. The meetings were a time and a place for people to make sure they saw each other, as well as got the work done or reported on. That was a big thing about meetings, is reporting back, right, what you had gotten done previously or since the last meeting. And because people didn't talk about that really in between meetings, because you knew it was going to be the meeting. And I hold meetings. I'm going to say a little similar, but with me, I like to know how folks are doing. You see Justin's eyes glazing over. I like to know how folks are doing, so I put that in my meeting. I like to make sure we do some self-care, so I put breathing in my meetings, and then, you know, kind of get what's going on from folks since we last met. And Justin?
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of long meetings. I never have been, never will be. I think, yes, you do run a similar fashion of the extended time of a meeting. I will say the contents of your meeting are very much, you know, not what I think everyday people who report to a team and all of that can say that that's their experience in. So I will give you that. However, we don't need an hour, or if it's designated at an hour, you going longer than that time.
I don't go longer than that.
Yes, you do. Absolutely, you do.
Not.
Absolutely, you do.
Because people have
Absolutely
places to go. All right, this last one was like
maybe are lying on live TV to the people right now. She is lying to you. Do not be fooled.
I don't always
by
go
the-
over. It's not often that I go
It's
over.
not often, right?
Okay.
I will say that.
Get there.
But you love to go to 1:59 if the meeting gonna end at 2 and
I do
100
that.
minute 59 and 24
Yes.
seconds. And no,
Make good use of the time.
no, we absolutely couldn't have gotten that done in 37 minutes, right? But
No.
people love to go and act like, we gotta come together in this moment and da-da-da-da. No, I don't need all that. Give me what I need to do. Tell me how I'm doing. How's the team doing? How are we feeling? That's great. What do we need next? Boom, we're out of there. There's so many meetings that I've been in that could have easily been an email, and it could have easily even just been a text and a text thread. I don't know, something, but a full-blown reporting to and sitting through and keeping face as if I can't. No. That I will say
you
I'm
gotta
one of
be
those.
on camera.
I will say I'm one of those youngins where I'm like, this could have easily been an email. This is ridiculous. Or a 30-minute meeting, right? And we really just get to the point instead of just all this. Well, how's everybody doing? And how's everybody
It's
doing?
important.
Absolutely it is. There's a place for that. And I don't think in every single meeting we need to go and stretch our time and milk every minute of the no, I don't need all that. Like, give me my assignments, tell me how I'm doing, and let's move on. So I will say I am like that.
Oh my God.
I'm on that
such
side
a
of things.
difference.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm on that side
This
of
is
things.
such a difference because
I don't know. I can't do it.
well,
I can't
a
do
few
it.
things come up for me. But first of all, yes, there are other ways to communicate now these days,
Mhm.
right? So you send email. We have so many emails.
Yeah.
Or
Even the email
but
threads.
I'm gonna tell you,
chill out.
people don't read their emails. That's
I'm
what
sure.
really bothers
I'll give
me,
you that, but-
especially in the skimming generation. And we've all become the skimmers. Believe me, I'm not just saying that it's Gen Z and millennials. I'm just saying though, the skimming thing is really annoying to me. So emails aren't always, for me, as informative, although they are informative, but also too, you got to know how to write an email. A vague email is not helpful to me. One which leaves me with hundreds of questions afterwards, it is not helpful to me. I don't want to text you. You were shocked yesterday when I was out of the office and I was actually getting my hair done and I was under the dryer at a time when we were supposed to be meeting. So I said, we're going to do this meeting by text because the Wi-Fi wasn't that great, blah, 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 blah. And you were shocked. Because I'm not doing a meeting by text. I'm not reporting in by text. And so many companies now, that's exactly how people are communicating in between time and letting folks know, how things are going or if they have a question. And I get that this is the new thing, the newfangled thing, but I'm still on the old school meeting thing because I feel like I need all voices together. I need all faces together. And what's your thing? What's your thoughts about being required to be on screen? Because that's on camera, rather.
Dude, I'm in a very unique work situation, right? So I can't, my opinions are not going to come off like, the same as everyone else's, right? But I think it's like ridiculous. There are certain things, like if we're in the middle of a project or if we're in the middle of, like if I have to report something, right? Like if I'm the one who's got the update to give and stuff like that, like sure, okay, no problem. Like I'll show my face and whatever, right? But if I don't have the mic like that and I'm just there and I'm just taking in notes and taking home my assignments, no, I don't feel the same need to be on camera and smile through this meeting. Like I just don't, because I'm not going to be smiling the whole time. And I feel like that's more like disrupted to the team.
But if you were
Then
in
if
real
I
life,
wasn't-
I'd see your face. If we were in person, which was all the meetings I ever had, nobody ever phoned into the meeting before, this
I'll
new
give you
age
that.
stuff,
I'll
right?
give
You
you
were
that.
sitting around the table. You think I haven't seen people fall asleep? You think I haven't seen
I'm
people?
not to fall asleep, but I'm very animated in the face. So like, if I'm tired, I'm probably gonna, oh my God, like, or some sort of like, what, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. It'll show on my face. And I feel like that's more disruptive and more disrespectful to the team and to the time than me being off and like taking my notes. Yes, I know you don't know that I'm doing that, but I can at least say that I know I'm doing that because it'll show in my work, and you'll know at that point because it'll show in my work. So it's a very unique thing. I'm in a very unique situation, but I mean, I see it and I get it, but no, if I can do my thing, like, yeah, and just do my thing in my own space, yeah, I'll probably be off camera.
I think there's a lot of people. This whole Zoom thing or being on camera, like meets thing, whatever.
And that's
that
been the way
puts
for
a
a
whole
while.
nother spin on things, right? Because it gets to this trust piece. Are they doing? Of my team, my staff doing what they're supposed to be doing off camera? I can't see them, so do I trust them? I think that brings up a lot of trust issues for people. Or the reverse is people who come on camera and don't have a clue as to what it means to really be on camera. And, people who have said, I forgot I didn't have on pants and I stood up. Or
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, I hear that all the time. Or people's kids coming in or their pets coming in. That happens all the time. So there's a whole different thing to the meeting thing. But I hear and I get what you're saying. Mike Casanova had commented that old school, we used to have to reserve a room for a meeting, and that was like a big thing and a challenge, and that's why you didn't want to have to cancel or reschedule a meeting because the rooms were hard to get, or you wanted the best room, and all of the stuff, right? That brings back a lot of great memories that we want to hold on to. So for generational stuff, I can say that I look forward to meetings. Maybe I'm just a meeting person. I look forward to meetings.
Yes, you are.
But when
yes, you are.
For the most part, there was a lot of conflict, tension that I didn't look forward to. Although sometimes in my younger age, like when I was your age, I probably liked the drama a little bit as long as it didn't involve me. To kind of watch things happen in the meeting, somebody you knew was going to blow up the meeting or whatever. But again, as long as it wasn't about me, I could get to that meeting and be okay with that. We talk about clothes, right? Wow, how that has changed. Any office environment that I went into, the expectation was that you were going to dress almost your Sunday best. Although I'll tell you, we had Sunday school, church clothes, we had work clothes, we had play clothes, we had school clothes. Like, it was not the kind of flexible wardrobe that you all tend to have now, where almost anything fits anywhere. Right? There was no such thing as casual. Office casual? You wouldn't. First of all, you weren't getting the job, or you weren't staying long on the job. That wasn't happening. A lot of people were in suits. The thing was to dress for the job you want, right? And so if you're going to dress for the next job, you are going to wear that suit, and that's basically what you saw. If people were going to be in the office, anybody under that, and I mean like something like jeans, never. Sneakers, never. Absolutely. I mean, even I came up as a working adult in the age of, again, we're in New York City, women wearing sneakers to work because they walked from the bus stop or the train or whatever. But hey, you snuck in that office, got your heels. There's nobody catching you in those in those sneakers. No, that could not happen. And you were wearing it with your suit. You weren't wearing it with your casuals and then changing the whole. No, you wear it with your suit and just hurry up and put that on. So I grew up in that space and being able to see people. I mean, when I worked for the phone company, and when I worked for the phone company, it was only one phone company. When I worked for the phone company, those those managers were what I aspired to, because they were sharp. And that, so even if I was wearing a suit or wearing, a skirt and whatever, that was what my aspiration was, to be able to dress up like that. And that is definitely changed. So when you grow up with that kind of mindset, I can see how where we are now can mess with you a little bit.
Do you think it was more important to look the part back then or actually be the part? Because those sharp, how many of those sharp individuals, to be quite frank, sucked at their job?
Oh, they would.
Or how many of those people who looked like they were slacking off or looked like they weren't, a leader because they weren't dressed a certain part, were actually more than qualified for the position? Like, because I'm seeing stuff in that in my own generation, but like from back then, what was that like?
You don't hear the way he said back then, like way back then. I should have never said I was only one.
We are in a new time. That's all.
But
we are in a new time. So either adjust or.
But listen. I think there's a saying, clothes don't make the man, or maybe the saying is clothes do make the man. I don't know, but they don't.
I think it's dope.
They don't.
I think it's dope.
They don't. So there was a lot of well-dressed poor managers out there. I had one of the worst, and she was definitely well-dressed. And I will say that had nothing to do with the skills that they had, not only to do the job, but to manage people. And see, that's part of the thing around my meetings, is that I want people to understand that I care and I'm invested in them. And part of the work life is about that investment, because I just really did not have that in the workplace. In managers, it was really about the work. If they were really sharply dressed, then it was really their show for show. I've had both. I had a manager who he had the cheapest suits. I'm sorry, he did not look good in his suits, and he was a terrible manager. Okay. And so it is not about that, even though people made it about that. So I'll give that to your generation, that as you're looking at things, you're like, well, how does this really make us better in the workplace? I think that where a lot of this is coming from, or where do you think it's coming from?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, we're in a really interesting spot in this dynamic and in this shift, because we do see the value in, I guess, your look, and in certain rooms and in certain positions, and how that can play into what we've been taught to see as professional and as a leader fit to lead. Right. But I think we really are, as a generation, naturally, though, we're more about being the part rather than looking the part. And I think that when you're kind of fighting in between those two things, right? Like who you are and then kind of playing into the game, it does kind of mess with what you land on as most authentic for you, right? Or most beneficial for you, right? But I'm seeing in offices like, companies have their own gear nowadays. And so people can come in,
That's
if it's not like, I don't know, a button down, right? It's like a company polo or a company, whatever it is, right? Those windbreakers. Shout out any company that does those, like company windbreakers. Those are hard.
And even the, what is it?
Like hoodies.
Hoodies,
and like,
yes.
Hoodies and, all that stuff, t-shirts and all that stuff, right? And I feel like for me, I'm someone personally who I'm not like this fashion dude or like whatever, right? But I can put it on either one.
Right.
And I think that there's a certain sense of power that come with both, right? Dressing as myself and dressing as me and whatever in the confines of, the structure of wherever I'm working at. But also being in that suit and from, again, just the messaging that we've been taught around that formal dress and what that means. So I think we're in a really interesting spot of like kind of fighting with ourselves between what feels most authentic, which is usually for a lot of people, it's not button down pants or like it's not skirts for a lot of people.
Well,
right?
how do you
All these
feel
different
about
things.
a boss, like the head of the company showing up in jeans and a polo?
I think that's pretty cool.
You do?
I think that's someone who, you said head of a company, right?
Yeah.
CEO. I would see that person as genuinely, I don't even know how else to put it, like rich and like up there and like earn their part, right? Like I'm someone who sees, like the Adam Sandlers of the world as like genuinely wealthy or like whatever, or like fit to lead and all that stuff, right? Because like these are people that are just wearing whatever they want. They know who they are. They know like they're not going to bring their most authentic self wearing something else. So they come in as themselves all the time, through and through, and they kind of challenge that societal programming that we have of like, who do we look at as, these strong leaders or fit people and whatever, and what do they look like? If you had to describe them, what do they look like? And I know a lot of people wouldn't say Adam Sandler, his baggy and one basketball shorts and baggy polos and stuff, right? But if you're thinking head of a company, right? Like the ones who, they might have a blazer on and like a t-shirt under and then, jeans, right? But some sort of shoe that's like a work shoe, but it's not like a business one. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like one of those slip-ons or something, right? That's someone to me who's like playing into both and definitely is showing signs of strength within both. Playing into the game, looking into, parts of whatever they're wearing that have to make them look away. But, they're in a t-shirt at the end of the day. They take it off, they're wearing a t-shirt, it's a polo, they're in jeans, right? As far as like even accessories, people are able to accessorize more, right? So I'm seeing hats in the office. I'm seeing
in my generation,
right?
Men especially, you have to take your hat off the minute you enter a building.
I'm seeing like wristbands and like bracelets, like more stuff like that, right? So again, I think it's just about having the conversation of, as we talked about in another episode, what do we deem as professional? Like, what does that really look like? If we had to describe, someone who's fit for this role, fit for whatever, what would they look like? And I think that we're seeing a big shift in just describing that archetype of leader. And so I think that's pretty cool. I think
it's an interesting thing because I can see the conflicts that arise from this very easily because it's just so different. It truly is. And at the same time, all of this change does not guarantee great leaders either.
No, and I think that plays into part of the infrastructure part that I was talking about at the top of the episode, right? Like how people are even building these spaces in the first place. So you were saying back then there weren't a whole lot of places, like genuine sanctioned places in the office where you could like take a break, that were for breaks, that were for, quiet, that were for, maybe not a nap, even though people are probably taking a nap, right? But that are, like maybe the walls are a certain type of walls so that you're not getting that much outside noise, whatever it is. And so I think as far as, it plays into my point of, not just looking the part or playing the role, like it's also like a way of being, because we're seeing now, I mean, people, when you have more money in your company or whatever, you can do more stuff, but like we're seeing like little nap chambers in people's offices nowadays. I mean, the extended snack bar.
People bring their pets in.
And there's like little areas you can run them, or with a little turf or something, right? Something like that. I mean, there's so many different things that we're seeing. I mean, basketball courts and stuff like that. If you had the space, that's more. There's stuff like back then like that, but more space means just more room to do more stuff. So I mean, again, just the hubs for like real just like respite in the midst of the workday is something else that we're definitely curious about, as far as some of the shift that we're seeing in the workplace and what that looks like and how that's working for a lot of people. Because I guarantee not everyone is feeling like, oh, this is a great thing, right? Like I can go take a nap in the office. Like I'm pretty sure there are people out there who are like, I don't like naps, especially not in the workplace. If I'm in the workplace, I
don't want to be right up. I like everybody. You could see everybody, right? Yeah. I mean, it's interesting.
It's interesting.
But we know that it is definitely causing conflict out there. And so we want to bring some things to you that will help you to mitigate some of that stuff. So,
all right. Another thing that I should have done as far as the tech stuff, as we have a whole paragraph out here for you guys. Thanks for that, Mom, including my notes. But first, just to get heard by some old supporters, right? Some supporters of the old school ways of doing things.
Okay, old.
I mean, that's how. Oh wait, no, it says old school, not just old. That's my bad. Maybe that's just me flowing off of your putting my notes here. But acknowledge your struggles. We as young people have to acknowledge our struggles within that, right? So one of the struggles that I just named was kind of just wrestling with the authenticity piece of it, right? That's just one example, right? But I feel like I'm someone who really believes it takes two to tango in every single thing, in every sort of dynamic, right? It's you and something else. Right. And so, especially when it comes to dealing with other people, dealing with a certain status quo and all of that, you have to find your place in it. And that takes some inner work, right? As far as if there's a struggle with the workplace attire, right, that you have with that, really acknowledge, like, what does that mean for you, right? I don't want you to go down necessarily the deepest, darkest hole for yourself of what that means and where the struggle comes from and where the emotions behind it come from. However, that inner work, you do have to do some of that inner work, as you are someone who's going to still have to do your job, play your part, as long as you are fit, to work and be in that space. And that's going to take some form of compromise, at least in any of that. And so doing some of that inner work will just help limit some of the flare-ups that could come up with kind of compromising to the system. So
yeah, I think this is a good one, because instead of just push back or plowing your way through, think about why. I think about why this is important to you and why it is a struggle for you, because you may be thinking, well, it's time to change, or this is not the way we do business anymore, but old fashioned, blah, 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 all that. But is it also attached to something for you that is making it a struggle for you, someplace where you really can't hear the other side of things or understand and see even some value in some of what is still remaining old school?
Yeah, absolutely. Next, I would say engage in conversation, not just complaints. I don't think all these things necessarily, as far as at least just starting the conversation, posing some of the questions, like I don't think all these things have to go to like your HR department as far as like someone being a problem with these things or starting issues because of these things that they're feeling. I really think, especially if it's, just a conversation with a colleague, you guys get a coffee or something like that, really just start it from a conversation standpoint. I love questions. I'm a huge question asker and just poser. And I love working off of that to build some sort of foundation towards whether it's an answer or at least, like I said, the foundation towards one. And so I would ask a question. I would start out with a question, how come this is what it is? Or how does this make you feel, right? As, like I said, you may have struggles with it before, so acknowledging those for yourself, right? So I think really just start out from a conversation standpoint. We don't need to go around and say like, it needs to change like this, and it needs to be like that, and da-da-da-da, right? Like that just leaves people, especially more closed off to change, which is something that everyone, I think, to a certain degree struggles with, at least from the shift standpoint, which is part of the natural process. So start a conversation.
Yeah, I think I've seen the conflict where someone is complaining about the fact that another coworker who's older doesn't text, right? Why are you texting? Why? Oh my goodness, this one really annoys me. Why are you calling me? What do you mean? Why am I calling you? Because you have a phone. But right there is such a beautiful example of conflict between generations, because I think you have a phone because you want phone calls, right? I mean, I can remember I didn't have a cell phone for the longest because I didn't want people calling me. And look, I got a home phone. Call me at home. They're calling me all over, right? Where I'm running around doing my thing. And when I finally got a cell phone, I can remember people being annoyed with me because I wouldn't pick up the phone. I'm like, I didn't get the cell phone to get calls. I got the cell phone to make calls if I needed to.
And you sure make them.
I make them.
There are times where, this is not even a work thing. This is also a personal thing. There are times where you will call me to tell me something. The call will last 36 seconds. I get another call back in 2 minutes for a 15-second call because there's something you forgot to tell me on the first one. Then I'm supposed to pick up a third one an hour later with the same smile and
a quick texter
on my face and in my energy that you're calling me. That's ridiculous. We have to acknowledge the ridiculousness in that.
I do acknowledge.
So parents out there, I will say,
from just being used to the phone, talking to people on the phone.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Oh my.
But I want to say, complaining to your boss about every little thing, that rather than engaging in conversation too, like this is a good conversation. We're laughing or whatever. But if he asks questions about, why do you call? Like I could share that information. That's where I come from. It's like really. You pick up the phone to hear the person's voice, to be able to communicate what you need to communicate, and the fact that I am not a fast texter at all. Yeah, word.
I'm not going to put this last one up because it literally will be a paragraph in front of all your faces. Don't know why all that's there. But my last one is for us youngins, we got to be patient. I think we have to be patient in this shift. I think we have to be patient in people's feelings and reactions to these shifts. I think at the end of the day, it's another one of those things, especially in the workplace and things like that, where we have a certain knowledge or access to this new knowledge that's coming more than the average person that's older than us. And with that, I think, it's like the best way I could describe it is kind of like teaching your parents how to work an iPhone or work a smartphone. Like there's going to be certain things that they start getting on their own and whatever, and then they're going to come back to you with some sort of question or some sort of, well, why is it this way now? Or why am I doing it? And I think that as difficult as it can be sometimes, especially when, you know, we're talking about teams that are being managed by younger people, right, and things like that. I think that we just have to get over the annoyance part of possibly being a model for people who are older than us in certain conversations, kind of embrace that role. And I think part of people who are great leaders are they're very patient. They're very much able to, you know, stay on track when it comes to working the long game. And so, to limit some of that conflict, right, it's just, you know, really, really give opportunity for growth. That's my main thing for sure. And let people land where they land when they land there and work from there. Absolutely. That's what I would say.
Yeah, because even as there are younger and younger people managing those who are older than them, there are also still those who are older who are managing younger people as well. And really, it's probably even more annoying, which is one of the things you said about my meetings, having so many meetings. But it's probably more annoying when it's your manager, right, who is holding on to old school ways, and you're really seeing that things could be more productive, not just up to date with the times, but also more productive if they might make some shifts, some changes. Being patient is going to really go a long way with that, along with having the conversation and asking some questions and as you said, so introducing why texting might be a quicker way to get what it is we need in terms of information on a regular basis, so that we could cut some of these meetings, because that's the other thing. The number of meetings is what people are complaining about, and they do run long.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if it's sectioned for 30 minutes, let's try to leave it at 30 minutes. That's for any and everyone out there who runs meetings.
Yes, okay.
If it's scheduled for 30 minutes, that doesn't mean 31. That does not mean 45. And it certainly does not mean an hour. Let's be efficient with our timing things out.
Meetings are always an hour. Anyway.
Yeah. No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They can be an email.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, point taken.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So if you are holding on to old school ways, you know, I admit that I hold on to quite a few things, right? Here are some ways to really smooth out and lessen the conflicts around that. The first thing is search yourself for the reasons you're holding on to this way of doing things. I think that's really important. I mean, as I was preparing for this episode, I really had to do that with myself. What does this mean to you? Is it just because it was the way that it's always been done? Or is it more productive? You're finding that it is a more productive way to do things. And as you said, we're in a unique situation because we work together, and the opportunity to talk, we work in separate rooms, but the opportunity to talk is always there. And I probably talk a lot more than you want me to. However,
more than you even need to.
All right, more than I need to.
You don't even need for your benefit. It ain't always for mine. Sometimes I'm really thinking about you. You don't have to do this right now. Yes, that I do go there sometimes.
Yes, you do.
Give yourself a break. I'm hanging out right now. Why are you coming here with more? Like, yes, absolutely. Sometimes it is for you.
Yes.
100%. I just had to get that.
Yes.
Jeez.
You think you had to get that out? You think you had to get that out? All right. So searching yourself for the reasons you're holding on to this is really important, because if you are able to let it go into a new way that is going to be productive, right? And maybe even more productive, then you want to do that.
Yeah. I agree. This just goes back to acknowledging your own stuff that I said in the last one. So I think it's a two-way street. Everyone's got their own work to do before they go asking someone else to do some work. on themselves. So
yeah, agreed. The next one is listen to the points being made and why. I think it's really important to understand why people feel like this is a change that needs to be made. The whole piece around is that do the clothes make the more effective leader? I mean, there are things to me that clothes are attached to. However, as that's the question that I presented, to be honest, I'm used to seeing CEOs, especially young CEOs, dressed in jeans and doing their thing and really clearly being good at what they're doing. So my attachment to clothes is still there. I know for you, for your brother, like as young men, I think it's important to be able to dress up like that. But I get that that's not going to be what's required of you to make that good impression. So really trying to listen to why you don't need to call, you could text, or it's an email that could have been sent in an email. All I can say is, yeah, but if I have to remind you to read your emails, then that's not going to be sent in an email. And I think that having that conversation, but listening, not just talking and holding on to old school ways is going to be important.
yeah, that's fair. And I just think we need more of that from the adults, from the ones who, are in those positions, regardless of your age and generation and all that stuff. If you're a leader, you got to be able to listen to the people coming to you and really sit with the stuff they're saying and internalize some of it for yourself, as far as just putting yourself in their shoes as you once were there. Right. So I think a lot of it is like, kind of looking in hindsight to make those decisions for the future. And, please keep open ears, keep an open heart.
Yeah, because they got to see you willing to change. They got to see some change. Can't keep everything the same.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I agree. That's another sign of a great leader.
Yes.
Someone who can adjust to whatever times and, still be themselves, but know how to shift and be fluid. And absolutely. That's great.
And you do it based on the whys, right? The points that they're making. Yeah. And the last one is, I believe in solid relationships. Develop relationships with them, and not a lot of times youngins, I call you youngins, will look up to us like more the mom type, but and that's okay on the job, as long as it really doesn't overextend itself into really looking at somebody the mom. But I'm talking about as a person, right? As someone that works with you, for you, on your team. Develop solid relationships. Who are these folks? What is their brilliance? What are their talents? What do they bring to the table? What are they struggling with, right? What are the things that make them who they are, beyond the things that you saw in the job interview that made you hire them? Because when you develop the solid relationships, you are much more willing to listen to them. You're much more willing to trust that when they're off camera, they're still doing the work, and if they're not off making a grilled cheese or,
Or even if they were, that they got at least a notepad next to them or something, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
But just develop those relationships, and they will also then be willing to work with you too. But I think it'll help you to be willing to accept and move toward change.
Yeah, I like that. I don't think I have too much for that. I think you were once there, and so I think it's kind of the least you could do to build team morale, to build chemistry, to build, you know what I mean? Like, who are you the person, right? Outside of even the role, right? Who are you, right? And tell me who you are, and really be curious. We need a lot more curiosity. I don't think curiosity is a red flag in people. Like, I don't think people are like narcs or something because they're curious or like whatever. I think people who are genuinely inquiring about who you are what makes you who you are and how you got to certain places in your life. Absolutely. Those are, that's valuable time spent. And so, especially between manager and whoever's under, right, wherever that title is, then yeah, that's even more important.
Directors, absolutely. I think this topic was really important. I mean, truly, it came up between us, and as it should, I think. And I have to say that I am really paying attention because if I'm honest with myself, you've mentioned the thing about the meetings before, but this time something about, not on the show, but as we were coming up with this, something about it really hit home with me as to what could be different and why it's coming up. So I think that for all of us, it's important to recognize that change is going to happen, and change is happening so rapidly now. Technology is just making everybody have to get used to change at a very quick pace. And I can understand some of us holding on and having to be dragged to that change because it just feels, number one, unfamiliar, and number two, we're comfortable. We love comfort, right? We love to be in our comfort zones, and a lot of the ways that we've done business in the past and that are still a part of our business are things that make us comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just be open. I think that's the last thing I really have to say on both sides. I think everyone just needs to be open to, the world that we're stepping into and
pushed into
and all the unknowns and unexpecteds and curveballs that will be thrown, and to embrace each other in that, as opposed to looking at just the why and, saying it in a way of like, something's wrong with the person within the system that be, right? I think we really just need to ask better questions, of ourselves as well. Do some more work with ourselves.
Because we need each other.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
do.
like we need each other in the midst of all that change and all the reactions that could come up, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to respond the same. We know that. And so how do we just keep everyone feeling uplifted and feeling like they have a place and feeling like valued and validated in some of the feelings that come up, right? We still struggle with validation, truly, just validating where people are at. And so the more that we can start to get some of those fundamental and foundational things in order, then we'll be more equipped than ever to handle anything that comes our way collectively. Yeah. I think that's the ultimate goal, is being able to work together and strengthening our togetherness in all of this. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Well, we are so glad that you joined us. And if you want more, there are ways to see us and to make sure that you are supporting us. So please
tune in, e360tv.com, Trajectory Channel, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. But also check us out on Facebook at Working It Out TV Show, as well as YouTube. You want to subscribe there at Working It Out Across Generations. And if you'd also just like to send us any love, show topics, comments, anything of that nature, please hit us up at our email at workingitoutacrossthegenerations at e360tvlive.com. Guys, you know what we say. Every like, every comment, every share, every follow, every piece of engagement truly means the world to us. We really are all about small is all. We are really trying to build towards something that is bigger than us, and we're just trying to do that one conversation at a time, right? And so, guys, this is Working It Out Across Generations. You know what we say, conflict is here to teach you something about yourselves. So go out there and find out what that is. I'm Justin.
I'm Dr. Lynne.
And this is Working Out Across Generations. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us.